Well, Charlotte Potts from our political desk is with us here for some analysis this morning too. Charlotte, I know you've covered elections in the US as a reporter there yourself. Now you're back on this side of the Atlantic. There's a lot of attention on the US elections outside of the US, particularly in Europe. What makes this race so interesting from a European perspective?
I mean, U.S. presidential races are always interesting, and this one in particular. You have with Trump a very entertaining character. You can see it with his Twitter followers. He has more than the current president of the United States, Barack Obama. But I think on a serious note, I mean, the Americans are electing the next commander-in-chief. Foreign policy plays a huge role, and with that, many around the world are asking how could a possible nominee Trump, what kind of president would he be like? And Hillary Clinton has actually said recently in a speech that she was approached by world leaders already that wanted to endorse her to not make Trump president.
Okay, so a lot of this is focusing on Trump. Let's look at what the candidates themselves have been saying, starting with Ted Cruz. He's still very much in this race on the Republican side. He's hanging in there and doing his best to outshine Donald Trump. Let's listen in.
You want a candidate who shares your values, or a candidate who has spent decades opposing your values? The mainstream media, the network suits who make the decisions, want Donald Trump as the Republican nominee. That's why they've given him hundreds and millions in free advertising, because they are partisan Democrats ready for Hillary. And they know that Donald may be the one person on the face of the earth that Hillary Clinton can beat in the general election.
Interesting idea there from Ted Cruz. Sounds like he's subscribing to a conspiracy that goes, theory that goes something like this, suggesting that the media have a liberal bias, and so they're giving Donald Trump lots of airtime so that Hillary Clinton can then beat him when he clinches the nomination. Would he be easier for Hillary Clinton to beat, do you think, than Donald Trump?
Probably, I mean, it amounts to kind of the same. It's interesting that he suggests that Trump is liberal and therefore the media would be supporting him. I mean, Trump is really on a running a very conservative campaign, similar to Ted Cruz. So I think both candidates pick up very much the conservative electorate of the Republican vote in the general election if it comes to one of them being the nominee. So Hillary Clinton right now, she's picking up progressive voters and voters in the middle. So she will have a very strong stance, I think, in the general election.
Now, on the Democrat side, Bernie Sanders is struggling to keep his campaign alive. It's not looking very good after the results from this second Super Tuesday. Let's listen to what he had to say.
And here is a principle, a bedrock principle of my campaign, and that is we will be judged as a nation not by how many millionaires and billionaires we have, but by how we treat the weakest and most vulnerable amongst us.
So do you think that Sanders is still in this race with a chance of actually beating Hillary Clinton for the nomination? What role is Bernie Sanders playing at this point?
It's interesting. I think if you do the math, he does not have an actual shot at the nomination, but I think his role is pretty important. He's been pulling Hillary Clinton to the left, to very liberal issues on minimum wage, for example, student loans, and so on. So this role he will keep playing, and it's very important because his supporters, mostly young voters, for example, they will see it, they will like that he stays in the race. If in the end Hillary becomes the nominee officially, then he can pledge his delegates to her campaign, and she can get that progressive base that he makes so excited behind her.
So Hillary Clinton is trying to dominate the middle ground, shifting a bit to the left, you're suggesting there. She's trying to clearly distance herself from the big money establishment politics image. Let's listen to what she had to say.
We're going to stand up for the American middle class again. We're going to stand up for American workers and make sure no one takes advantage of us. Not China, not Wall Street, and not overpaid corporate executives.
Hillary Clinton wanting to stand up for the middle class. Is that a credible claim coming from her?
Yes and no. On the one hand, of course, she's coming from that Clinton dynasty. Her husband was the president of the United States. They have a huge foundation. They own a lot of money, and a lot of it comes from Wall Street and the financial sector. So on that side, no. But she has been portraying herself as a champion of the middle class, and she's been really going to the left of some issues. So in that sense, she might reach at least some voters of the middle class and working class there.
Charlotte, thanks so much for being with us this morning. DW News will be bringing you special coverage of the run-up to November's presidential election. We've already begun. You can get a whole lot more about the campaign at dw.com/US Elections 2016. We've also been asking folks what sort of America they'd like to see, and you can join that debate on Twitter. The hashtag there, #WhatAmerica. We look forward to hearing from you. Well, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, Gerhard will be joining us with all the latest business news. Stay with us for that.